When we say, I hate marketing, what we really want to say is, I hate the fact that within capitalism, it's not enough to be good at what you do. If you're not good at selling what you do, it doesn't matter what the nice smelling preacher with the big, beautiful Jersey hair says. Absolutely nothing is figure-outable. Welcome to Marketing Muckraking, the show that asks not simply what brand culture can do for us, but what it's doing to us. With your host, creative director, and brand strategist gone wild, Rachael Kay Albers, making fun of business and making business fun. This is the show for rebels, revolutionaries, and renegades who run businesses that burn the rulebook. If you're sick of business podcasts that have all the answers, well, I got nothing but questions. Let's go. Episode 3, I hate marketing and other lies we tell ourselves. I am now in my 13th year of business, and as I have trudged and tumbled through the past 4,400-ish days, I think most everyone who has crossed my digital doorstep has said the same thing. I hate marketing. Now, whether your business days run into the thousands like me or just a few dozen, one of the first lessons you learn is that the customer is most definitely not always right. But if we're doing our jobs, we learn to hold space for the right to be wrong, because deep down we know we're all alike. Wrong until just the right time. It's a blessing to be a fork in someone's road. And when most business owners come my way, they have earned their I hate marketing badge of dishonor. In many cases, they have paid for it too, in more than 4,400 ways. The House of RKA lays beyond the boulevard of broken dick funnels. Most people don't find me until they've at least been there first. Some do the whole double dicker bus tour past the Hawk of Fame, Pay to Play Avenue, and the I Did It and You Can Do Scar Pits. Little known fact, if your business makes it off the boulevard in one piece, you get a swag bag with one of those I almost lost my life savings to a life coach and all I got was this lousy t-shirt numbers. One size absolutely does not fit all, by the way. So, like I said, the folks who find their way to me have earned their I hate marketing badges, but they're still mistaken. As mistaken as I was in deferring to them all these years, crafting what feels like 4,400 hours of content to speak to this, the wrong pain point. But remember, I'm just like them. Wrong until just the right time. My time, it seemed, was around the 4,000 day mark. Almost a year ago, exactly, when I set fire to the House of RKA and inadvertently the entire life I had built around it. You know what I should have seen coming a mile away, but didn't? My breakdown, my break up, my break. Not my branded breakdown as I wandered Dick Funnel Boulevard in nothing more than a robe. No, that I certainly saw coming. But the breakdown I experienced in my ability to perform the brand of believing in branding, at least as it had been preached to me. So speaking of robes, my body of work, the stones that I laid on the path to woo those with I hate marketing badges into working with me, were a lot like the last remnants of my faith. Devout free schoolers may remember that in one of my former lives, I went to seminary, just long enough to learn the bare amount of Greek you need to realize you don't believe what it's telling you. That's another one I should have seen coming a mile away, or 9,000 miles away, actually, because I went to seminary in Sydney, Australia. In the months before I started seminary, I pored over every page of the Bible, gripping the pages with white knuckles as if I could literally squeeze belief out of it. I wanted to believe so badly, I decided to make a career out of it. And so when I predictably lost my faith while searching for it in seminary, I did what any good almost pastor does. I went into marketing. Remember episode 2? Okay, so there was a pit stop in law school, but that's a mile away for another day. Fast forward a few thousand days, and you can see history repeating itself. My body of work was me trying to talk myself into my job while ultimately talking myself out of it. And this made me angry. So angry that my rage lit the fire that forced me into the wilderness. Yes, I was angry at all of the stars lining Dick Funnel Boulevard, but my real anger was, yes, Scooby-Doo moment, at myself. The call was indeed coming from inside the house I had just burned down. I made a lot of compromises while white-knuckling the business Bible. I preached the gospel of entrepreneurship as a noble act in and of itself. I parroted the parable of personal branding as the ultimate form of self-expression. I crowed the commandments that some dude with a beard and a bulletproof coffee swore were the only way. And I refused to question the underlying foundations of this profession and who or what it ultimately serves, because I'm no blasphemer. For me to doubt the testimonies and the testimonials of the #blessed would have been to betray myself as a businesswoman and become a traitor to my fellow girl bosses. So when the time to stop being wrong was right, my white knuckles tore open and bled. And I howled in anger and in pain for recruiting people into this church, knowing it only wanted our tithes and didn't give a fuck about our souls. For coveting my neighbor's house despite knowing that they rented it on Airbnb. For wanting the clergy's approval and for earning it in many cases. For yoking my own brand name with theirs because that's what the ebook tells you. When Marie Forleo stood on stage at her Everything is Figureoutable book experience in New York City on September 9th, 2019, I had convinced myself I was there as a researcher to observe her audience and to see her making marketing history. I wasn't a B schooler. I never took B school. I didn't follow her because I believed in her message. I followed her as a student of marketing and a cultural critic. But when she commanded her congregation of thousands to visualize their figureoutable dream with her, she said something like, close your eyes and picture that one thing you want to figure out tonight. I am ashamed to admit, I pictured being in her shoes. I wanted what she had. I had absorbed the girl boss dream by some sort of spiritual osmosis, like whether I liked it or not. Even if I had built my own brand messaging around the idea that women shouldn't want to copy Marie Forleo, I somehow had no way of envisioning anything but the sermons that she and others like her had given about what it means to build a life you love. In Marie's world, even your soul's purpose must be branded and easily called up on an instant when somebody demands you meditate on command. Corresponding dollar amount not optional. It's the girl boss equivalent of, do you even lift, bro? Do you even funnel, girl boss? I wrote a masterpiece in burying your feelings. It was my first viral post, and it was the article that put me on Forleo's radar to begin with. It was called You Don't Want Marie Forleo's Website. I wrote it in 2016, and I wrote it for myself. It was a prophecy, damn it. It said, this is not the path. This is not the way. And then I spent the next 5 years apologizing through my content, a string of sorries for my inability to take a stand about what I knew to be true about business and branding and the business of branding ourselves. I think most breakdowns and breakups are this way. A break with the ability to perform a role and continue to lie to ourselves and those around us, right? So it was finally the right time to stop wronging myself. During free school, I vowed to burn down the rules of online business to see what was left standing. And I've told you before that when you burn it all down, the only thing left standing is yourself. Thank God. Fuck the t-shirt. I am beyond blessed to have escaped the boulevard of broken dick funnels with enough of myself left to confess what I knew all along. Business won't save us. And this leads me back to where I started today. The idea that marketing is the devil. I wooed many a weary wayfarer to the house of RKA with the promise that I could help them swap their I hate marketing badge for something a little less bitter. But when you learn the language of business, you realize that badge has been mistranslated. I hate marketing is what we say when we're too afraid to admit the real enemy is the church of capitalism. See, okay, before you start your own business and join the capitalist clergy, your relationship to marketing and money making within this system is it's like a once a week Christian. You show up and you mouth the hymns and the jingles, all the while you're secretly wondering what's for lunch. You repeat after the pastors and the marketing ministers, deferring to their cassocks and copywriting, signs that they must know better than you. You don't bother yourself with questioning the truth. You just have faith because everything is easier that way. But when you go into business for yourself, you have to learn the language of capitalism yourself. You begin to doubt. You start to lose faith. Yet, not knowing any other way or truth or life, you white knuckle it. You double your tithes. You surround yourself with believers. You convince yourself that your growing doubts are signs that the devil's gotcha. And you nickname him limiting beliefs. And before you know it, you're in one of those massive secular cathedrals where white people sing and dance to hip hop. Let's call it Hammerstein Ballroom. Chanting, everything is figure-outable, with tears streaming down your face as you raise your hands to the heavens and manifest millions in the name of all that is holy. And oh, you do manifest them all right. For the coach who collects the offering plate. Surely you can figure it out, she says, peering down at you from the pulpit. And you have no choice but to believe her, because everyone else is crying her name, thanking her for setting them free. You know how it goes. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit your email list, something like that. It took me almost 13 years to realize when entrepreneurs say, I hate marketing, what we really mean is I hate an economic system that forces me to act like an evangelist for my own cult of personality. When we say, I hate marketing, what we really want to say is, I hate the fact that within capitalism, it's not enough to be good at what you do. If you're not good at selling what you do, it doesn't matter what the nice smelling preacher with the big, beautiful Jersey hair says. Absolutely nothing is figure-outable. When we say, I hate marketing, we have it backwards. The truer statement is, marketing hates me. The marketplace doesn't want what's best for us. It wants what's best for itself. Did you know, for example, that, while the world burns and COVID rages into its third year, Stanford researchers have created a toilet that can recognize you based on your butthole. Yeah, it is called an anal print. And I could have gone my whole life without ever hearing about that. How the world could have gone an eternity without anal recognition. Meanwhile, sea levels rise, poverty deepens, and profound loneliness abounds. During free school, a common critique that I heard through the grapevine was, I'm sick of hearing Rachael complain. Why can't she give us the solution? After 4,400-ish days in this game, I know one thing is right. That is the wrong question. If you're seeking a street preacher to sell you the secret, you can find one on every corner of the internet, okay? But the concept that any one of us has the truth in our back pocket is what formed the problems so many of you were sick of hearing me complain about. In the capitalist catechism, the individual entrepreneur, the thought leader, the guru, the life coach is our savior. In reality, we can only band together, not buy now, to achieve that better world that we seek. It took me 4,400-ish long days and dogged nights of becoming an expert for me to wake up and realize I know absolutely nothing. And yet, miraculously, when two or more of us gather, we may just be able to figure everything out. Most importantly, what do you think? And what can we think up together? I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can go to rachaelkayalbers.com, head to my contact form, tell me what you're thinking, what came up for you in this episode. Until then, peace be with you. If you want more marketing muckraking and brand strategy gone wild, I invite you to subscribe to this show, and if you enjoyed it, leave me a review. That really helps me out. If you hated it, please send it to your enemies. They sound like good people. You can go to rachaelkayalbers.com/subscribe to get these updates in your inbox. And because this show is self-sponsored, if you wanted to support my work, you can go to buymearobe.com. That's where the magic happens. In the meantime, remember, it's not the age of the niche, it's the age of the wildcard bitch. See you on the internet.